Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you this evening and to introduce our keynote speaker. I must say, though, it's also a tremendous challenge. I was asked to try to highlight the very many achievements of Mr. Mirvish in 2 minutes, and you'll agree with me after you hear from him that it's an impossible task, but I would like to highlight some of his immense contributions to the community. Mr. Edwin Mirvish is one entrepreneur that has gained worldwide recognition and stands above many others. Few business leaders have done as much as Mr. Mirvish over the last 40 years to grow tourism in Toronto. And as a matter of fact, last summer, our ministry declared Mr. Mirvish as Ontario's official ambassador for tourism. I'd like to take a few moments to let you know why we chose him for such an honor. Mr. Mirvish, as we all know, opened Honest Ed's, a discount shopping center in the 1940s. And the store grew from a small storefront location near the corner of Bathurst and Bloor Streets to become one of Toronto's most visited landmarks. It has been visited by so many tourists, it was named an Ontario tourist attraction by the Ministry of Tourism in 1988. But the store is only part of the story. Throughout the 1940s and 50s, Mr. Mirvish and his wife Anne, a well-known Toronto artist, attended numerous live theatre productions. Mr. Mirvish developed a strong passion for the performing arts during this period, and in 1962 he purchased the Royal Alexandra Theatre, saving it from demolition. He restored the theatre and reopened it in 1963, and it was about this time when Mr. Mirvish's relationship with Toronto and Ontario's tourism industry really began. Throughout the years, Ed built restaurants to serve his visitors, and hundreds of productions were staged at the Royal Alex, drawing hundreds of thousands of visitors to Toronto and to Ontario. Then in 1982, Ed, with his son David, entered the international stage and purchased the Old Vic in London, England, outbidding Andrew Lloyd Webber for one of London's most prestigious theatres. By the 1990s, Mirvish Productions had become one of the top theatre production companies in the world, winning international acclaims with a string of Tony, Dora, and Olivier Awards. Mr. Mirvish was also recognized for his achievements, receiving 6 honorary degrees: the Order of Ontario, the Order of Canada, the Order and Commander of the British Empire, and induction into the American International Business Achievement Awards Hall of Fame, as well as many others. Yet Mr. Mirvish's business accomplishments continued. In 1993, they continued their expansion with the construction of the 2,000-seat Princess of Wales Theatre. This was the first privately built theatre in North America in more than 30 years. And unlike other theatres, the Princess of Wales Theatre was a true work of art, even containing more of painter Frank Stella's work than the National Gallery in Washington, D.C. The new theatre created much-needed media sensation and new tourism product for promotion as well. Mr. Mirvish's company has assisted Ontario tourism and Toronto tourism through numerous marketing initiatives, including our most recent Winter in Toronto promotion, which has helped to increase bookings at Toronto hotels by 130% so far. So it's a great honor for me to introduce our tourism ambassador and our keynote speaker, Mr. Edwin Mirvish. Thank you.
Distinguished head table guests, honored guests, master of ceremonies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased and happy to be able to be here with you tonight. In fact, at my age, I'm happy and pleased to be anywhere tonight. Thank you for that very kind introduction. I have a great capacity for accepting accolades. It is indeed a pleasure to be part of this special gala evening awards event recognizing the achievements of the Chinese-Canadian entrepreneurs. I congratulate them all. I'm honored to have been invited here tonight to have the opportunity to speak to a most distinguished audience. I have borrowed the title of my talk tonight from my autobiographical book that I wrote a few years ago. The title is How to Build an Empire on an Orange Crate, or 121 Lessons I Never Learned at School. When the publisher asked me to write the book on my life, I was reluctant and declined. At my age, you tend to forget a lot of things. But when the publisher offered to pay me, I remembered everything. I remembered things that never happened. I put them all in the book. I was honored that the book was a bestseller in Canada. My first encounter with entrepreneurship was when I dropped out of high school at 15 years of age. It wasn't by choice. My father passed away, and I had to work to help my family make a living in our grocery store on Dundas Street. It was the Depression years, 1930. In 1941, after getting married, I cashed in my wife's insurance policy that had a cash surrender value of $212. We rented a small storefront at Bloor and Bathurst at $55 a month and opened up a tiny retail store of ladies' sportswear called the Sports Bar. That name eventually changed to Ann and Eddie's. It was in 1948 that we changed the name of the store to Honest Ed's and went into the business of selling bargains. People have often asked me the meaning of the title of my book, How to Build an Empire on an Orange Crate. When we opened Honest Ed's, we couldn't afford fixtures to display merchandise on. So we gathered up a lot of the old wooden orange crates and used them as counters. Our original store was approximately 200 square feet of selling space. Today, our present store has 160,000 square feet of selling space. I am very proud to say that on the 50th anniversary of the store in 1988, the federal government of Canada presented us with a commemorative plaque recognizing the store as a Canadian landmark and Canada's very first retail discount operation. From our humble beginnings at Honest Ed's and our outlandish promotions that attracted great attention, we eventually branched out into different areas, which included theaters, restaurants, and developments. We developed Mirvish Village, located outside of Honest Ed's at Markham and Bloor Street, and turned the location into what I think is the most interesting area to visit and shop. It is made up of over 100 different vendors who operate antique shops, boutiques, restaurants, bookstores, and other very interesting establishments. Each one has its own one-of-a-kind operation. No branches of large corporations are allowed in the village. It is where small independent business people can operate and express themselves in their own individual and creative way. On the occasion of my 70th birthday, 16 years ago, former Mayor Art Eggleton recognized Markham Street as a tourist attraction and officially named the area Mirvish Village. It was in 1962 that I went into the business of entertainment and live theater when I purchased one of the finest theaters on the continent, the Royal Alexandra Theatre here in Toronto. It was slated for demolition. Up until then, I wasn't a patron of the theater, and I knew nothing about theater business, and made the purchase because I thought it was a bargain. I know that in 1907, the Royal Alexandra Theatre cost $750,000 to build, and that was without the land. I paid $215,000 with the land. Under our ownership, the theater has been operating for 38 years and has never been dark. We have presented over 450 stage productions at this theater. At present, we are privileged to have the musical Mamma Mia at the Royal Alexandra, and I'm pleased to say, playing to sold-out audiences. I must take a moment to say, I'm sure, if it weren't for my wife Anne and our son David's interest in the arts and live theater, I probably would never have been in the sometimes frustrating but wonderful world of show business. I'm happy that my wife Anne is able to join me at this special event. Anne always provided me immeasurably support over my career. With your permission, I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge her. Annie? After several years and many productions later at the Royal Alexandra Theatre, and after complaining to my wife about how difficult live theater was, I came home and told her I just purchased the historic Old Vic Theatre in London, England. That was in 1984. We were very privileged to have ownership of that theater for 16 years and sold it in 1998. We are honored that our name is still on the board of directors. In 1993, we built North America's newest theater, the Princess of Wales on King Street. It was named for Diana, Princess of Wales, with her permission. We're sorry she never got to see the theater due to her untimely death in that horrible accident. Present audiences are enjoying Disney's The Lion King at the Princess of Wales Theatre. Now that's entrepreneurship. If you can't get a free plug in there, then you've missed the opportunity. I just couldn't resist. I really must give full credit to our son David for this magnificent theater. He saw it through from the beginning to end. We are very proud of what David has accomplished in the live theater and the arts. Beside his involvements in all our businesses, in the past decade or more, he has been running the entertainment arm of our enterprises and has taken live theater to new highs, not only in this country, but internationally. In between our two theaters on King Street, the Royal Alexandra Theatre and the Princess of Wales, we built a complex of restaurants which we owned and ran for 38 years, up until last September, under the name of Ed's world-famous restaurants. They were most pleasurable, rewarding, and interesting years. The time was right for me to exit from that business. It's easier to collect the rents, and besides, I got tired of washing dishes. Our family still retains ownership of the properties, and I have no doubt that the parties developing and occupying these buildings are going to be a great asset to the area known as the Entertainment District. Over the years, we've been very fortunate with the success of our various businesses. People always tell me, Ed, you have the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to gold. Well, nobody is always right every time. One thing I learned a long time ago, when something works, I tell the whole world. When it doesn't work, I don't say anything. That creates an amazing image. To build a business, you must also build a good team. And I'm proud to say that we do have an incredibly dedicated team in our various enterprises. Many members of our organization have been with us for many decades. Our general manager, Russell Lazar, has been with us for 43 years, and I'm happy he was able to join us here tonight. Several years ago, I was very honored when Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II awarded me with the title of CBE, Commander of the British Empire. To come from a poor immigrant neighborhood and receive this award in Buckingham Palace was overwhelming, and certainly is to me a great endorsement of this wonderful country of Canada and its opportunities. Many times people ask me, what does CBE stand for? I jokingly tell them, Creator of Bargains Everywhere. I've had a wonderful life. It's allowed me to be a storekeeper for over 70 years, a theater owner and restaurateur for close to 40 years, and to run all the businesses simultaneously. I've supplied food, entertainment, and merchandise to the masses, and I made it easy for them to enjoy the services we provide. That's been my goal, and it's also been my pleasure. I think at my age, society expects you to retire. People think if you're past the proverbial milestone, you're past the proverbial hill. They expect you to go to some green valley or golf course and rest. But I've been blessed. I don't need a change or even want one. I enjoy too much of what I do every day. When is the right time to retire? I haven't a clue, but I do know this. Of all the lessons I've learned in life, it's one of the most vital. Whatever in life it is you do, every morning it's important to have a reason for getting up. I thank you all for giving me the pleasure and opportunity to share some of my stories and thoughts with you. I wish everyone good health and happiness and success in all your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Please stay with us. We want to present you a token of our appreciation. I wasn't keeping exact count, but I think there were probably more than 121 lessons in that speech. Thank you so much to Mr. Ed Mirvish, and would we like to call back Ms. Jean Lam to present a token of our appreciation to Mr. Mirvish.
而家有請林女士上台為大會咧頒發紀念牌俾 Mr.